Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or the guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of You're More Than Your MS. It was a busy week for me. I started to feel better after my new MS treatment, more clear-headed and more energy. I went to lunch with my mom and her best friend yesterday. I had an appointment with my neurologist just to follow up on my new MS treatment, that tomorrow. Which also results in another will result in another lunch with my mom. So I didn't get a lot of time to watch anything new. So I thought I would go over some of my most watched TV series. These are series I watch as they are aired or are the first ones that I watch that are on my DVD or DVR. The first one is Scorpion. It's on its 4th season. Inspired by a true story is a high-octane drama about eccentric genius Walter O'Brien and his team of brilliant misfits who comprise the last line of defense against complex high-tech threats of the modern age. As Homeland Security's new think tank, O'Brien's Scorpion team includes Toby Curtis, an expert behavioralist who can read anyone, Happy Quinn, a mechanical prodigy, and Sylvester Dodd, a strategic guru. Pulling their expertise, technology, knowledge to solve mind-boggling predicaments amazes federal agent Cabe Gallo, who shares a harrowing history with O'Brien. However, while their socially awkward group is comfortable with each other's humor and quirks, life outside their circle confounds them. So they rely on Paige Dining, who has a young, gifted son who translates the world for them. At least, these nerdy masterminds have found the perfect job, a place where they can apply their exceptional brain power to solve the nation's crises, while also helping each other learn how to fit in. Scorpion doesn't necessarily lend itself to profound analysis. It's just fun to watch. The first episode of this CBS drama serves up a strange blend of improbable actions, incomprehensible computer talk, and tear-jerking sentimentality. It's hard to explain why it all works, except it does. Maybe it's that dull, clunky, old TV cliche about characters, because in Scorpion, we very quickly like pretty much everyone we meet. To reinforce that feeling, perhaps we never even see the villains. Scorpion loosely stems from the life of Walter O'Brien, a high-end genius who's brilliant with computers and not so good with people. Walter has started a tech company with 3 other geniuses: Toby Curtis, a psychologist and small-time con man; Sylvester Dodd, a human computer; and Happy Quinn, a mechanical wizard. Their lack of people skills keeps them small-time and struggling until government agent Cabe Gallo, who has a not very happy history with Walter, recruits them for an urgent mission to keep 56 airplanes from crashing. With the help of waitress Paige, who happens to have a genius son herself, They launch a high-pressure, high-action mission that's entertaining as it is unlikely. Most viewers will just have to accept the computer dialogue because we won't understand it, which is okay. We can enjoy the procedural part, which CBS does so well, and root for the character with which turns out to be easy. Scorpion isn't unlike TV's late Leverage or A&A's underrated Breakout Kings, in which people who don't fit comfortably into the world do good. It may have a little uh, person of interest in it, too. Profound, no. Good, yes. The next series that I really love is The Big Bang Theory, which has been running for 11 seasons now. The Big Bang Theory is a comedy series about four young scientists who know all about the world of physics, and one girl who gives the physics world a real spin. Leonard Hofstadter is a smart guy who tries his best to complete his research and become famous for his work while also attempting to be the most social interacting guy in their friends group. Sheldon Cooper is one of the world's smartest men with an intellectual capacity through the roof and a language with scientific words normal people only have one comment to what. Howard Wolowitz is an engineer with his mind particularly on science, but mostly on women. He always tries his best to impress a girl and gets his share of sexual intercourse, but he always manages to screw up somehow, probably with his bad knowledge of treating women in a bad manner. Rajesh Kuthapalli is an Indian scientist performing experiments on black holes, outer space, life on other planets, and not to mention stirring theories. Raj is mostly known for his selective mutism. In other words, his fear of speaking to women, making social interaction difficult for him. Finally, there's Penny. Penny is a gorgeous girl next door to Leonard and Sheldon's apartment, and though she does not have any knowledge in physics or science, she makes success by being a funny character, frequently having hilarious comments and on and off going relationships. Writer-producer Chuck Lorre named the nerdy heroes of his new sitcom, Sheldon and Leonard, apparently in homage to Sheldon Leonard, the versatile writer, director, and actor who played gangsterly types in such films as Guys and Dolls and It's a Wonderful Life. He was and produced such classic TV shows as Andy Griffith and Vic Van Dyke. Leonard, who died in 1997 at the age of 89, would probably appreciate the tribute because Big Bang is the funniest sitcom to show. Also suffers from a kind of conceptual claustrophobia that could limit its appeal and its lifespan. Although the funky, clunky pairing of the two characters and the actors who play them is deft, the universe they inhabit is awfully narrow. It would be gratifying and certainly entertaining to see Lore prove the theory wrong in weeks and many months to come ahead, which did, because, like I said, the show has been running for 11 years now. Jim Parsons, Jim Jim Parsons plays Sheldon, the spindly one, and Johnny Gellick plays Leonard, the stubby one. They share an apartment as well as a fondness for Star Trek and quantum mechanics, and they don't finish each other's sentences so much as supply each other punchlines. They are proud to announce they have a combined IQ of 360, and though Sheldon can lay claim to 212 friends on MySpace, Leonard points out that he has never met any of them. Into their Laurel and Hardy lives comes a, a princess, the equivalent perhaps of a nutty heiress in old 30s comedy. Callie Kuko as Penny, a shapely flake who moves into apartment 413 next to the nerds upon ending in an affair with a big bruiser across town. And Oaf, who kept her TV set. That little detail is catalyst for what passes for a plot on the premise. Sheldon and Leonard, understandably smitten to the point of distress from their daily routines, go to Penny's former apartment to retrieve the TV. I don't want to give away much more than that. It's a great binge watch. The next series I'm going to talk about has been running for 18 years. I love this series because there's a lot of science. Mythbusters. Mythbusters takes myths, tall tales, and urban legends and gives them the scientific treatment to determine their validity. Myths are proved true, probable, possible, improbable, or busted. Often, after the real-world practical tests have proved or debunked a myth, the team will take the experiment to the extreme, many times using more modern technology than the myth could have used, or upping the black powder for impressive explosions. After a season finale last year, Mythbusters is back with all new hosts. It features the same myth-busting we know and love, but with new people doing the busting. If you loved the original show premise, you'll definitely love the reboot. Discovery Channel's Mythbusters ended its 14-season run last year. It left behind a legacy of getting a generation of TV viewers fascinated in science and how the world worked. Viewers also loved hosts Adam Savage and Jamie Hyman, who had excellent on-screen chemistry, as well as their build team, who held their own experiments. But behind the scenes, Science Discovery's sister channel wanted to make more, so it ran a reality show contest to pick the new hosts of the show. They settled on John Lung and Brian London, who are both scientists in their own right, though neither has a walrus mustache. The original Mythbusters was known for its creativity. How do you test whether dropping a penny from the Empire State Building would really kill someone? Why just design a gun that fires a penny at the same speed it would be if dropped from that height, of course. Science reboots doesn't mess with the formula. The new season includes a fun and creative test of whether, for example, there would be a dramatic pause between slicing between something with a sword and that thing revealed in the cut. It is a TV and movie trope called delayed causality. Lung and Loudon rig up all sorts of contraptions to figure it out. It's a lot of fun. Look, Lung, Loudon are fine. They're perfectly serviceable as hosts and pretty fun themselves, but Hyman and Savage had something magical, and they don't quite match it. Based on the first couple of episodes of the seasons reviewed by me, we're sure that'll improve as the show continues. The bottom line, it's still Mythbusters. In the end, we're all here to see myths get busted. The Mythbusters reboot pulls that off and has fun along the way. That's Mythbusters is also another great binge watch. The next show that I watch all the time is The Daily Show on the Comedy Central. It's been running for 23 years. I'll admit I have not watched it for that long. Forget 24-hour biased left-wing news media. The best fake news show in the world will provide you with all the news you can handle. If you're tired of the stodginess of the evening newscasts, if you can't bear to sit through the spinmeisters and shills on the 24-hour cable news networks, don't miss The Daily Show with used to be Jon Stewart, now it's Travis Noah. A nightly half-hour series unburdened by objectivity, journalistic integrity, and even accuracy. The Emmy and Potty Award-winning Daily Show takes a reality-based look at news, trends, pop culture, current events, political, sports, and entertainment with an alternative point of view. In each show, anchorman Travis Noah and a team of correspondents comment on the day's stories, employing actual news footage, tape field pieces, in-studio guests, and on-the-spot coverage of important news events, and finally, interviews with guest celebrities and political figures. I can only assume that this is as strange for you as it is for me, he said. Was more than just a late-night host. He was often our voice, our refugees, and in many ways, a political dad. It's weird because Dad has left. Now it feels like family has a new stepdad, and he's black. Stewart spent 16 years as host of The Daily Show, and did feel a little strange at first that he wasn't there. Still, there were many elements. Noah also shows off his serious talk show chops, deftly interviewing fast-talking guests. He proves to be a generous interviewer, never letting the conversation lag, or worse, offering too much commentary, a fault others like Steve Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel have wrestled with during their late night debut shows. Until Noah came around, he's caused a stir last March after Comedy Central selected him for the job when Twitter messages he posted making jokes. It's clear he's moved on. Calm, nimble, damn funny. Noah didn't even break a sweat and seems easily poised to carry on the satire and smarts that turn the Comedy Central talk show into a source of news and entertainment for the entire generation. The Daily Show is in good hands. That's our moment of zen. The next show I'm going to talk about ran for 5 years, way back in the 90s, I think, if I remember right. Originally it was called Queer Eye for a Straight Guy. Now it's just called Queer Eye, and Netflix just rebooted this, and I just finished binge watching the whole season just the other day, and it is phenomenal again. In a time when America stands divided and the future seems uncertain, a team of 5 brave men will try to bring us closer together with laughter, heart, and just the right amount of moisturizer. The Emmy Award-winning Queer Eye is back and ready to make America fabulous again, with a new Fab Five and the show's toughest mission to date. Queer Eye moves from the Big Apple to turn the red states pink, one makeover at a time. When the first iteration of Queer Eye for a Straight Guy launched, George W. Bush was president, gay marriage wasn't legal, and fighting for LGBTQ rights was a revolutionary act. 15 years later, things have gotten better on a basic legal level, but society is still scary. Fortunately, here comes the Fab Five, preaching their fierce desire to push society beyond tolerance to acceptance, not just for gay people, but for diversity of all kinds. It feels fair to call the newest Queer Eye a reboot, if only because it does feature an entirely new cast. But the role breakdown echoes that of the original series. There's Tan, France. For fashion. Antonii, Paroski, it does food. Karamo Brown does culture. Bobby Burke is design, and Jonathan Van Ness does style. The group's dynamic is notably different, as all five guys bring a puppy-like enthusiasm to each challenge, literally bounding around at times in each subject's house with gleeful energy. On a production level, fans of the original series will find it reassuringly familiar, as the series works within a familiar format. The show isn't necessarily elevated beyond typical reality fare, especially given how closely it echoes the original series format of subject setup, followed by home invasion, followed by transformation, and end result. Because of Netflix, there are no act breaks, but episodes are still broken up by days to maintain a similar rhythm. No real twists or turns here. Spoiler alerts. In every episode of Queer Eye, the Fab Five makes lives better. The ending's always pretty predictable in the best way, but sometimes that's exactly what a person needs in this insane world. While this is decidedly the television's equivalent of comfort food, real issues do come up, especially since the show was shot last summer in Atlanta and surrounding towns. That's right, the Fab Five make over at least one Trump supporter, and other political and cultural conflicts do arise, though these moments are always couched in mutual respect. One scene that will definitely have people talking is in episode 3, when the Five get stopped on their way to that episode's assignment by the local police. Guess who's driving? Camaro, one of the two non-white members of the team. Things work out just fine, but the scene ends in kicking off a deeper discussion later in the episode about police brutality that does challenge everyone involved. Meanwhile, haircuts are administered. Drabbed decor is replaced with stylish dark wood and pops of color, and other lifestyle tweaks are made to not just update wardrobe, but help each subject become not just more stylish, but more confident. One of the show's best adjustments is that 4 of the 5 Fabs have always had clearly defined roles: grooming, food, design, style, but the gentleman representing culture has always been a bit harder to lock down. Fortunately, the show has an answer to this. Brown, whose first entrance into becoming a public figure was being the first out gay black man on reality TV after appearing in MTV's The Real World in 2004, essentially becomes a life coach, encouraging each man to embrace their better selves. One element that feels a bit uncomfortable is just how much the guys talk about the sex lives of the single men they're making over. It makes sense that sex might be mentioned as a part of the show, but wow, there's a lot of discussion about how their new looks and new homes are totally going to get them laid. For a show about self-improvement, the search for a happy ending seems to put a lot of emphasis on how the subject's new look will be embraced by people around them, especially the ladies. The group as a whole embody a natural chemistry, though Jonathan Van Ness becomes a clear standout. If you ever doubt that Van Ness was essentially playing himself on the web series Game of Thrones, seeing him in this setting will disabuse you for the notion. Even unscripted, he's too fierce for words. Ultimately, the most notable aspect of this reboot is deliberate name change from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, launched with a title that made its mission statement so very clear, and theoretically, the first season of the Netflix relaunch doesn't deviate too far from that. Not every makeover subject in the first season is a straight man. For the record, though, no women were the focus just yet. Yet shortening the title gives it a broader element, indicating how the Queer Eye doesn't just improve the lives of a singular straight guy. There is an episode featuring a gay man, but it goes beyond that. By embracing a man's life in so many ways, it acknowledges the fact that it's not just his life being changed, because as John Donne once wrote, no man is an island. We have so many opportunities to learn from each other, to grow and explore, and to improve the worlds of those who stand around us. Not all of us can do it as fabulous as these guys, but they can inspire us to try. Well, my friends, that brings us to the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed everything and will get a chance to check out the things that I've reviewed for you, and I hope you will return for even more interviews next week. I would like to thank MS&Me Radio and my listeners for giving me the opportunity to share my passions with you. Good night, and always remember, you're more than your MS.